awesome at fighting than we were. That's not how it went down. I'm saying all that to say because the subject matter I want to cover today, even though it's going to be about verbiage and words, I also want to spin it around our ethnicity and nationality, because a lot of our people are really confused about that, and I want to try to get them clear on that, and I want to do it in the most simple way that I possibly can, using the easiest words that I can. We have a lot of confusion, and I know there are people that are listening that are going to disagree. Those of you that have been following my work and have heard this all before, absolve me for the repetition. Those of you that have never heard this, you're going to be angry. But there's a lot of confusion amongst our people. We have the Hebrew Israelite faction. We have the Moorish faction. We have the Nation of Islam faction. We have the Christian faction. We have the Gang Lord faction. Right now, we're still going through this division. But what I want people to, not only that, let me go one step further. We have the Central and South American faction, as well as the so-called Pacific Islander faction. When the Europeans started coming here, they came here deliberately looking for us. They heard about us, they heard about here, and they wanted to find out about us. Columbus did not get lost. When they say, oh, Columbus got lost, he was looking for India or Africa or whatever, and he wound up here. Columbus was looking for here. Way back in the day, the term Indies and India and Indian applied to this landmass. It did not apply to the landmass currently called India. Back in those days, I believe the landmass was called Bharat. B like boy, H like happy, A, R like Randy, A-T. Bharat is what modern-day India was called. So when Columbus went sailing looking for the Indies, he was trying to get here. The problem was he didn't get on the mainland. He landed on the islands of what people would call Haiti and these areas today, those areas over there. And if you watch the movie 1492, you will get a great example of how they came and did the people there. It's the same thing. It's the same game going on all the time. What they're doing in Iraq and Afghanistan right now is the same game. We're always the same party. But the reason they say he got lost is because even though he made it to the Americas or the Indies, he made it to the islands. He didn't get to the mainland. And when he went back and requested more resources so that he could try again, they told him, oh, you know, thanks but no thanks. We don't need your help. Someone else got there before you. So I want to say that to clarify for people that Columbus wasn't lost at all. He knew they were trying to get here. When they arrived here, and all of the documentation, all of the evidence points to the fact that they found on the shores of the Americas, and when I say Americas, I mean Peru, Alaska, Canada, Mexico, whatever they're called, Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, the Virgin Isles, St. Thomas, all of these areas, they found these copper, brown-colored people with bushy and or wavy or curly hair. Our hair texture went quite the gamut. And their evidence shows that. Now, they try to clean it up because people like me and some of my sisters and brothers are making the determinations about what's true. You have to remember that the current conquerors who are sitting here in military de facto occupation on the backs of the de jure empires they found here, those individuals are cut and paste specialists. They are the masters of rewriting, cutting out, pasting in, doing whatever they need to do to make sure that when they're done, something says what they needed to say to give them the upper hand. For example, a lot of their DNA results that are, for whatever reason, taking all of our people, or the vast majority of us, and lifting us off of the Americas and plopping us genetically into Africa. There is a reason why they're doing that. And I'm saying to everyone, do not believe them for a second. Do not trust them for a second. The term Africa really And European circles, the highest societies of European circles, are fully aware that the people that currently call themselves African American are in fact the Aboriginal, indigenous, autochthonous Americans that they found here when they got here. They just don't disclose that to everyone, but it is known in the circles. The term Africa really just means conquered or subjugated people. That's really what it boils down to. It also is something they started applying to Carthage and all of the holdings of ancient Carthage when they defeated Carthage. And Hannibal, Barca Bey, was one of the greatest military generals of all time. Most military generals of any sort try to mimic and monitor after or model after Hannibal Barca Bey. And one of the holdings that they got when they subjugated Hannibal or subdued Hannibal was they were able to get him to relinquish his navy, the Carthaginian navy, and it was handed over to the invaders at the Land of Flowers. On the shores of the Land of Flowers is where the military navy or naval fleet was given over to the conquerors. And the Land of Flowers is currently called Florida. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of people have problems with the way a lot of our youth behave as far as how they are so combative, a lot of them. They're fighting turf wars and this nonsense over little blocks, and this is my block, and this is our hood. You know, what I try to tell people that don't comprehend the big picture, the Europeans, when they started subduing our people all over the globe, everywhere they went around the world, and they confiscated all of the writings. Much of the writings were burned. A lot of the writings were just basically collected, stored in holding with the Vatican in the attics and basements of some of these libraries, Smithsonian Institutes, these types of places. They're sitting on a lot of our information, and they know not to disclose it. But one of the things that they know, because they read our works, they know our history and our prophecies, they know about the timelines, they know about things like the astrological placement of the planets and how the planets move and the energies and the effect that the energies of the movements will have. These individuals were born at this time, and the Europeans knew they were born at this time to come and fight a turf war. That's why a lot of these little warriors re-entered the planet through the gateway of the melanin-rich mother, who is the maternal matriarchal guardian of the earth. One of the things that they've done is, knowing that these warriors were going to come, they started turning them on themselves, using all of their media imagery and what have you, before they actually started fighting the war for the real turf that they came to fight for, rather than fighting for the Americas, and I mean all of the Americas, North, Central, and South, or the planet and globe in general, because we are a global people who came to fight for this at this time. What they did is they were able to manipulate the press and manipulate the media in such a way as to get the warriors that came to fight to get the turf back, such that they would begin to fight amongst themselves and fight one another over ridiculous trifles, like my block, my corner, this color red, this color blue. Way back in the day, originally we didn't have a color issue. Europeans came up with this color issue, and not all Europeans had this color complex issue. But I'm saying, I know it seems to people that I'm like all over the place, but usually when I do a speak or a lecture, I'm kind of all over the place because I try to lay a foundation and make a point. The word America, when it was first utilized in its inception, it meant the copper-colored, brown people or races of them. When I say copper-colored races, Racist ends with an S. It's plural.